a little bit about me. I have been training in Japanese and Okinawan martial arts for 34 years. And I started with judo when I was 11, and I switched to Isshinryu karate when I was 14, so 31 and a half years in Isshinryu at this point. But I've trained in taekwondo and various other things. I have, a shodan in jiu-jitsu and a second degree in taekwondo and a third degree in kempo. But Isshinryu is what I love the most and dedicated the most time to. So, and I have a nanadan in that. And that's pretty much all you need to know, I guess. I mean, James, as he said, I'm in the Navy still, and I'll be retiring to East Texas in about 14 months, almost 15 months. And we'll try to get a dojo going there, so you guys are welcome to come visit me there. All right, well, in previous seminars that I've given here, we've done the upper body and the lower body basics of Isshinryu, but for today we'll forego that. So just try to follow along as best you can. Isshinryu is largely characterized by, the short Seisan dachi we call, with a heel toe, shoulder width apart position. That's pretty standard. Some schools have more of a slight pigeon-toed position. Some just feet are straight, and that's okay. Whatever you guys can do and you're comfortable with is fine. I'm not going to nitpick what you're doing too much. And then, of course, probably the most defining characteristic is our vertical fist usage, which is almost exclusively what we do here. And the thumb will be in this position. If this is difficult for you, you can certainly put the thumb along the side. That's fine. Most systems have a tateken, but Isshinryu uses it exclusively, largely, and we put the thumb on the top as opposed to putting it on the side. The founder felt like it was a stronger fist position. If you put the thumb laying over, you can squeeze it and it makes the wrist tighter. So he felt like that was better. So as we all know, there's no one style that's better than another, just individual techniques that we can analyze and whether we prefer this or that or whatever. It's all right. Okay, so anyway, the first kata that we're going to do today is Seisan, and this was taught to the founder of Isshinryu, Shimabuku Tatsuo, by Kyan Chotoku. And he supposedly learned it from Matsumura Sokon. So we'll see how we go. I'll demonstrate it first, and then we can get into it. Okay. Aye. Aye. That's it. That's all. Okay, pretty short, I guess. We'll have everybody come to attention, bow. Now, Shimabuku Tatsuo, in his own karate, we can see from the video footage that we're fortunate to have, he usually shortcuts it and starts with the hands low already, with one hand open and one hand closed. But what he seems to have actually taught most of the students was, once they bow in, started up here at about chest height with the one hand open and one hand closed, and rotate it down. And then we would step over with the right foot into a ready position. So it's interesting because we had a founder who would many times do differently in his own practice than what he would actually teach. So it's kind of hard to standardize a system when that happens, but we just make the most of it. All right, we would step left. You're going to do a side block with this left arm coming. So the right arm comes up, and you're passing it through the bend of the left arm and pulling it back to the hip, and you're going to reverse punch and pull it back. Okay, and then you would step with the right foot. So we step forward, punch with the left, and do the same thing. You're hitting to the solar plexus and then pull this back almost to like another side block position. And you're going to step back, step forward, punch a third time. There you go. Now we're going to shuffle forward, and we're going to do a double high block like this, right? And then you're going to step across with the right foot, turn around into that left foot forward heel toe position, and your hands that were up like so, I'll get in front of you guys over here, you're going to have the right arm come on the inside and open them, and you're going to bring them down and chop behind you, past your bottom. So you're back past your butt. Okay, let's start that from the beginning. Okay, I'll turn sideways so you can reference this way. Okay, we bow. So you can either start down here like this or up here and rotate it down. It's okay, whichever you prefer. And we step left, punch right and pull. Step right, punch left and pull. Step left, punch right and pull. You're going to shuffle and double high block. You're going to look over that shoulder and step across and turn and double chop. Past your bottom. Hands open so you hit with the edge of the hands there. Okay? And you kind of have your elbows straight, so you want to bend your elbows a little bit. One of the first generation students, you can relax. One of the first generation students of our founder, when I went out to Oceanside, California to have him check over my kata one time, he said, "Oh, good, you have your elbows bent." Because my teacher had taught me that. But he said, yeah, if you have your arm straight, if the guy kicks you in the arm, you hurt your elbow. But if your elbow's already bent, then it's going to hurt their foot more readily. So, which is good. Still won't feel the greatest if you get kicked in the arm, but you know, you'd rather have a sore arm than a broken arm. Okay, anyway, we turn back this way just for good measure. Okay, so once we've gotten to this point here, we're going to step with the right. So it's 3 steps one direction to start it, and then we turn around. It's going to be 3 steps the opposite direction. Okay, so we're going to parry across with this lead or this rear hand, and then this is going to come up and chop back down. So you're going to do a hooking block and press also, and you turn this over, and you're going to grab in this fashion. I know some Isshinryu people are doing this way, but really that's easy to get loose from, right? You pull against the thumb and out you go. But if you have your fingers open, you spread the surface area of the hold out, and you have a little bit more substantial of a hold when you're pulling on them. Now, this is not designed to hold them indefinitely, but it's just to snatch them off balance a little bit. Okay? Then you're going to step with the left, parry across, chop down, and you're going to do the same thing with the left. Grab and pull, right? Then you're going to step with the right once more. Right? And then we would stack our hands on our right hip with the left hand on the top. Whatever direction you're getting ready to turn, that's the hand that's going to go on the top. Okay, we want to do that from the start? Okay. All right, I'll face this way this time, so you guys just come towards me. I'll be out of your way. Okay, kyotsuke, date, hajime. Left foot step, side block, punch and pull back, step, punch and pull back, step, punch and pull back. Those go to the solar plexus, all those punches, by the way. Shuffle and double high block. You're going to step with the right foot and turn. So that's a counterclockwise turn, and you chop. So the hands go from this double high block position down and so like so. And then from there, right foot's going to step. So you parry, chop, hook, grab, pull. Left foot step, parry and chop, hook, grab and pull. Once more, parry and chop, hook, grab, and pull. You stack, and we're going to go to our left direction here. Okay? I don't really have any room there, so let's turn right around. Hopefully this turning around all the time is not going to confuse you guys. If it does, let me know. Okay, so we've done this third one of these. We're going to go 90 degrees to our left, shuffle out in that direction, side block. We're going to give 2 punches. A front kick and set the foot back where you got it from, and then a third punch. And then on this, you're going to stack your hands on the left hip with the right hand on the top, pivot on the balls of your feet, and look over this way. Now, I've talked to first generation American students, and they said, well, Tatsuo kind of assumed that later in your training you would no longer need this little intermediate step like this to pause and look around. But it's built in there to help you be able to see further around instead of just turning all the way around, right? But if he intended for that to be the thing where you leave this little piece out, there's no footage of him not doing that. So it's like, okay, well, we still mimic it because that's what he did. But anyway, you come from here, so you go around 180 degrees from where you were, block, punch, punch, do the same sequence. Kick with the left, punch with the left, okay? You're going to stack, and then you go to the left 90 degrees. Okay? All right, so let's add that on there from the beginning. I'll go with you guys. Bow. Here we go. We're going to left foot step, punch, pull. Right foot step, punch and pull. Left foot step, punch and pull. Shuffle and block. We're going to go around with the right foot and chop behind us, right? Boom. Okay? Left, so you should have your left foot forward. Left foot here. Boop. Right foot step. Left foot step. Right foot step. Okay? Then you stack. You're going to go left, side block, punch, punch, kick, punch. The front kick is to the groin. And you stack, pivot, and look. Then you're going to go to the right. Side block, punch, punch, kick with the left, punch with the left. Set it in the rear. There you go. And then you stack your hands on your right hip and you're looking to your left. You're going to go 90 degrees out this way. Boom, boom. Same thing. Kick. And then punch. Now from here, you're just going to pivot on the heel and you're going to drop into shikodachi, right? So you had your left foot forward, right? So if you're in that true heel toe position, you just squat like so, right? You just turn it to the side and drop. Now the hands, I'll do it this way first, then I'll turn so you can see. We're going to drop, we're going to pull this back to our hip, and the other arm's going to come around like on the outside of our elbow here, and we're going to pull this out to the outside. Now, many people will stop this right here even with the thigh as if it's like a regular side block. But if you just want to do a regular side block, why do you need to drop down? So we're doing something a little more substantial with that whole movement as opposed to just a side block. But of course, you could do a side block there. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Now, when I do this, I don't actually leave the fist the same height as the shoulder as in a side block. I actually raise that up so that the wrist is the same height as the shoulder because I'm doing an arm bar here, okay? So from there, it's here, boom, like that, okay? You guys all see that? Okay. So once we have this, then this left foot's going to slide across, almost like a heikodachi, right? Parallel to one another. And you're going to turn the rest of the way around into a T stance with your right foot forward. So basically you have about the length of one of your feet in between your feet. And instead of having the foot flat, you have the heel raised, right? So like your cat stance, many Americans are actually calling this cat stance, but it's T stance really. Okay, so from here, you're going to shuffle forward into the flat T stance. Both feet are flat. This arm comes up, and you're going to back fist to the bridge of the nose. Yeah, coming down more vertically instead of horizontally. And then here, boom. Then you're going to pull back to the position you were in before, and the elbow drops. Is that too much? We want to keep going. You want to repeat all that? Yes, sir. Okay, yeah. So, sure. You just slide that left foot across. No, left foot. So you're going to go from here, left, right, and you turn around. Yeah. Some Isshinryu people do this where they kind of just make like a small step with this left, and then they pull this other around like that. But to me, that makes it more susceptible to falling off balance because you're pulling more of your body around when you do that. If you take the initial step and get most of your body weight around the first movement, the rest is easy. We're just making a small movement secondly. We're just going one, and here, that's easy. But if you're doing a two-directional movement with most of your body weight, I'm not a big fan of that personally. But anyway, so we're here, boom, and then we go T stance, and then we shuffle forward. So we have our feet stable, so we have some power behind that back fist to the nose, and then we pull back and we drop that elbow. Okay? Does that make sense? So the overall imbosen on this is more or less like a plus sign. Not exactly, but you do go forward and you turn around and come back the other way, and then we're shooting off on the sides, right? And then the rest of the action happens along that long piece, right? Now when I do this, I don't exaggerate my footwork, nor do I purposely shorten my steps or anything else like that. And so I never start and end in the same place. I know that's a big deal in some Japanese karate, but mostly in Okinawan karate that doesn't really seem to be the case. Most of them, even if they do it, it's maybe by accident. I don't really know that they stress that so much. And Shimabuku Tatsuo most certainly did not stress that. In fact, you watch the footage of him and he never does that. So anyway, I always end up slightly back and to my left from where I started in this particular kata. and I'm tall, but I don't take like super long stances or anything. So I try to get mine as exacting as possible in the heel-toe alignment and so on, and I don't take big steps when I turn around. So even though I'm shuffling, I don't go like way over here, I'm just moving out. So anyway, we'll continue on here. So we've shuffled forward, we've done this back fist, and we pull back. We're going to step down, we're going to step across, and as you step into this cross stance, your lead arm pulls over to give your leg room to raise that knee up, and you're going to do we call it a side kick with the ball of the foot here. Many people might call it a front kick, but a front kick is if you have both hips facing the same way. This is our side kick with the ball of the foot because we have one foot sideways and one foot's going to be kicking facing forward. So there's that. And when you pull this elbow over, that makes it also so that your hand is closer to your hip, relatively close to the chamber position for the next technique. So you're going to kick, and then you're going to turn your foot back into that heel-toe position. So once you place it down, you move it over. When you plant it, you'll be back in a heel-toe stance when you turn that rear foot. And then from here, you're going to do a low block, punch with the left, and you're going to turn your left foot on the heel and drop into shikodachi and do the same thing we did previously. And now the whole sequence we're getting ready to do is the exact same as what we just did. Okay, so your right foot comes over and you turn around to your left into a T stance with your left foot forward. So you have your feet more perpendicular, one behind the other, right? Here, and then you're going to shuffle forward and back fist, right? And then you're going to pull back and the elbow comes down, right? And then you're going to step down, you're going to step across, arm pulls over, side kick with the ball of the foot, right? Then you place it over so that when you turn that rear foot's ball of the foot, you're back to the heel-toe alignment, low block, punch, and the last one's going to come around. You do the same thing. T stance, put that left foot across. Oh. There you go. Okay, now we're getting to the end here. This whole bit is different. So from here, this time you're only going to step with the right foot coming out. Your left foot stays where it is. And it's not a really elongated position, but it's a little bit longer than the regular flat T stance would be. So you're coming out back fist here, and then you're going to pull back and turn this across to your Seisan stance. Low block, punch. So if they're punching at you, you've just robbed them of their reach. All right? And then you're going to turn your foot. Do that technique once more. Yeah, still facing this way. So you should have your right foot forward. Okay. Right foot comes out. Right foot steps over to Seisan, low block punch. Left foot turns. One of these, that's the last time we do that in this kata. Okay, and everybody got that, or you want to repeat that again? Sure. All right, so I'll face this way and let you guys do the opening piece. All right, bow. We're going to step over, left, boom. Left first. There you go. So you punch and then pull, then right, and punch and pull, left, punch and pull, shuffle, and double high block. So you should keep that left foot forward at this stage, right? Then you step across and turn the opposite direction. Your left foot should be leading here. Okay, we're going to step with the right, parry and chop, hook, grab, pull. Step with the left, do the same, opposite side. Step with the right, once more. Okay, then you're going to stack the hands and look to your left. You go to the left, shuffle out, side block, 2 punches, front kick, punch. Then you're going to stack, pivot, look, and go to the right. Right side comes around, side block, punch, punch, kick, punch, stack on your right hip, looking to your left, shuffle out to the left, side block, punch, punch, kick, punch. And then you're going to sink into shikodachi, boom, then you step around into that T stance. Okay, so the ball of the foot's touching, not so much the toes, because if you kind of put your toes down, you can potentially get a cramp in your toes, and that's not a good thing. So I just use the ball of the foot here. Then we're going to shuffle out and back, step down, step across. And by the way, this is your first ki point right here, when you step across into your cross stance, and there's a reason for that, and I'll tell you in a minute. So we kick, turn our feet back to the heel-toe alignment, low block, punch, and then step block once more here. And then we go out this way one more time, repeat the whole sequence. Where you step over into your T stance, right here, shuffle out, back fist, and then pull back, step down, step across, and that elbow pulls over, kick, okay, low block, punch, sink into shikodachi and do that arm bar one more time. The last bit, left foot comes around, T-stance once more, right. Now this is where the right foot only steps out, back fist, right foot pulls across and over, turn your left foot to Seisan stance, low block punch, and hit another one of these. Okay, now I'll turn this way so you can see what's going to happen next. So the ending, we're going to shuffle back into a T stance with the left foot forward, and we're going to inside block with our right and cover our center line here, right? And then the left arm is going to come up across with an open hand side block. So you're going 1, 2. So the movement is similar to what you've already seen, where you're doing this at the beginning and this to the other part, right? So you're just passing it across and coming through here with the open hand. All right, so we're coming 1, 2. Then you're going to set your foot down and turn your hips, and you're going to give a little bit of a pull with that left hand. That's your second ki spot. So don't let your foot twist outwards. You're just placing it down, right? So you're here, okay? Then you're going to front kick with the right leg and Seisan stance with the left foot forward. Now you're going to pull this left and punch with your right. Okay? Heel toe. Turn both feet forward. There you go. Okay, and then from here, you're going to go back to your T stance one more time, shuffling back. Your hands are going to open up at your hips. It's like goading them to attack, essentially. You know, and like sword. Any of you guys familiar with sword? There's strategy in different martial arts, of course, too. So if the guy's got his sword back here or facing back here, perhaps the guy thinks that he's unprotected, right? So anyway, we're going to have the hands here. Then we're going to, I'll face this way so you can see better. There's 3 parts to this technique, but for the time being, we're going to slide this one under, this left hand down, right hand over the top. It's going to be a palm heel strike, okay? You're going to catch the person's foot, so against a front kick to the groin, okay? There's lots of Isshinryu people who are fixated on it being a foot break or an ankle break, and there's certainly nothing necessarily wrong with that, but you can't do that technique if you first can't catch the person's foot, right? So we're focused on primarily doing the catch. And then also, too, most kata begin and end with a defensive movement. So if you're breaking their foot or their ankle, that's not defensive, right? So my sensei said he was taught just to catch the foot. But then, of course, the application would be to twist the foot and break the ankle. And then he also had one more move that I've never seen anybody else do, which is a stomp to the knee. And he said that wasn't part of the kata, but that would be the follow-up, as you stomp the foot or stomp the knee. I was like, oh, that's cool. But anyway, so once we catch this foot here, then we're going to turn the foot and step back up to musubidachi with the right foot, and you would bow out of the kata. That's it. Seisan kata. All right. You guys, I'm sure, have questions. Blunt force trauma stuff. We have some grappling built in here, but Tatsuo's karate largely was block, punch, kick. So I don't have like super in-depth, fabulous, break your arm and spin around and all this kind of stuff. But we do teach some stuff that's really, neat, in my opinion. But anyway, so when we come for this initial movement here, here I'll use you then, since you asked, if you don't mind. So if this person grabs my wrist, we can do it with this hand. So I'm going to step in. I can hit him in the wrist with my wrist, and this comes off like that, which opens him right up for this, right in here, right? If he grabs, some people wonder why you pull this back. Well, if he grabs with that hand, other hand actually, comes right off, right? So almost like in Seiunchin kata in a way, right? Make sense? So it has that element to it too. Here's another thing, if you don't mind. If you grab with this hand, so if I've been here, I'll pull this in. There's your initial block, so to speak, right? And I got a free shot right there. Right? Makes sense? Yeah. So we say, oh, this is a block against a punch. Well, like you got to have something identified so that the student starts developing a constant, right? Oh, my hand needs to be here, blah, blah, blah. But it can be more than what that initial thing has been identified it to be. So anyway, so that's what we're doing. We're coming in here, right? With those 3, basically the same kind of deal. It could even be, if he grabs my wrist with it, the same hand here, I can come there, snatch that off, same as before, right? So nothing overly complex about that. Okay, now, this last one, or this other one here, I'll use you again since you're right there. Thank you. So if I think maybe he's getting ready to attack me, I can come in here. I don't have to come in straight. This is not going to do anything, right? But if I'm here, clothesline. If you do one arm, it's not as powerful as if you did both. Right? You shove this up here, both arms, it's a little more powerful. So you're exploding forward, right? But of course, too, this is not the most realistic of applications, what I'm getting ready to show you, but this is what my sensei told me that they would demonstrate, Tatsuo would demonstrate at the demonstrations. So I'll turn this way so we can get the camera here. Oh, come on, please, if you don't mind. So he said that the guy would do this kind of attack. Who does that? But anyway, as I say, that's what Shimabuku sensei would show at the demonstration. So if you're coming down over sides of the head here, he would block like so, and he would turn around simply and chop him in the groin. Really, really simple kind of thing, right? Okay, well, what about this? Once more, if you do that, here, this is this chop going this way. When you pull here, here's this chop going this way there. Yeah.
Who does that? But I think it's a very realistic.
A double attack?
No, that somebody grabs your head.
That's the way to think of it. Think about it. Yeah. Certainly, absolutely. See, you taught me something. There you go. Thank you. I appreciate it. I hadn't even thought of that. No, that's great. Thank you. Yes. So, yeah, if he reaches even, it doesn't have to be an attack per se with a strike. It could be just that he's reaching. Boom. Ward that off. Exactly. That's good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Add to my understanding. And then you're coming under. Here's this. Boop. And especially if you look back this way, wham, right in the face, right? Which is probably what would happen. They'd look, smack him in the face with a chop. Okay. And you want to see that again, or you want to have it done to you, or you want to do it to me, or whatever, it's fine. Or if you just want to move on to the next thing, we can. Okay. All right, this part here. So we'll use you if you don't mind. Thank you. This is probably a very common theme throughout Okinawan karate, where you're protecting your center line, and they probably do it in any number of ways. But if the person punches to the body, you parry with this hand here. It's nice and simplistic. This comes over the top and presses downward, which is going to break the balance forward a little bit, and then you can snatch and pull a little bit, right? It's nothing ridiculously crazy. Now, in the kata performance, we do the hard style breathing, right? We tense up, and we grip the floor and pull. Kyan Chotoku supposedly used this kata as a conditioning kata in the similar vein to what Uechi-ryu and Goju-ryu would use Sanjin for, right? So we're doing this here. Now, like I say, if you grab them like this, you can get loose from that kind of a hold real quick if you pull away from the thumb, right? Right? You're pulling outwards, or pull back that way even, right? It comes right off. But if I spread my fingers out a little bit, now pull. See? I still got hold of her, right? She may pull my body with her a little bit there, but it's a little bit more of a substantial hold. But like I say, you're not trying to hold them indefinitely. You're just trying to pull them off balance a little bit. What could you do? Many, many things, you know. So here's another one that I like to do. If the come back, please. I'm sorry. I wanted to use somebody tall like me on this one. So if you want to punch at me with, let's say, punch it with your right hand, you're going to try to hit me in the back. So I'm coming here, all right, this comes down here, right? Then you have this pull, right? Which we're going to do that in Seiunchin kata too, by the way. So you're catching and collapsing that elbow and coming up over the top, and you got them in like a shoulder lock almost. And you're digging those fingers in. That would be another reason why you'd have those fingers spread out, which you can't really do if you just have the hand cupped around the shoulder, right? So there we go. Yes, sir.
Would you demonstrate that parry?
Sure. If the person's punching to the body,
Okay.
I have nothing doing more complicated than this. And even if the timing is not perfect, that's what it's for, is to help protect your center if your timing's not perfect.
Oh, so it's like you're chambering for...
Yeah, basically. Yeah, once more, come on out. So, yeah, let's turn this way a little bit so these guys can see. So if he's punching here, I'm going this way, parrying offline, and then up and over.
I see.
And it could be a strike or something, you know. We're not really changing the kata too much on that kind of thing. So anyway, but it could be they punch with the other hand, right? This way, other hand. Yeah, works either way.
So
right?
it follows the, okay.
Yeah, okay. The partner can punch either hand. It's a versatile technique. It doesn't really matter.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, but nothing ridiculously complicated. Now, another thing too is this turning movement and this movement here, it could be against multiple attackers. If the person is, let's see, I'll use you, sir, and I can use you again if you don't mind. Right? So if you're if you want to front kick at me here and punch at me here, so this is, right, doing this kind of a thing, right? And, right, so I showed you that one. Another deal is, we'll use him this time, thank you. So if you stay there, if the person is attacking from the side with a kick or punch, it works either way, here. If they're at my rear corner, it works here, right? If they're in front of me, it works here. Or if they're at the angle, it still works, right? So it's kind of nice when you do this initial turn, you're covering all your bases, basically. It doesn't have to be multiple attackers, but it can be, right? Okay, let's see, what else? Now, we look at this and we say, well, this could be your side block, right? And if you, I'll use you again if you don't mind. If you are just, this is another thing some people Isshinryu do, they'll just turn, like they have a rod through their head and they stay in place. And really, to me, they're missing out on what they ought to be learning in this. Not that they couldn't block somebody's attack by just simply turning to the side, but there's not really that much power in the technique when you just turn to the side and block, right? So if you're punching at me to the body here, and I just turn and I block that, you feel how that felt, right? Okay, now use the same technique. It's a little more powerful, right? Because I'm shuffling into it, right? And it opens him up a little bit more readily, and I can go to town, right? Okay, so if you watch Tatsuo Shimabuku, he doesn't just turn, he goes. He shuffles. And now he doesn't have he's a short man. It's like 4'10", 4'11", something like that. So, but he didn't go very far, but it's like if you study the films instead of just only mimicking what you were taught, there's potentially more things in there that you may have missed. So, but we're shuffling out into these techniques. And of course that could be a defense against the guy punching with the one side. It can certainly be if they're punching with the other hand too. And as a matter of fact, if I had you out one more time, please. If you've done that punch with this side and I've really pushed it across, it could potentially really unbalance you. And then we do punches here, right? But this could shove you back even maybe. Even though we do a punch in a kata, then a knee strike. He's too close for me to kick really, but that's okay. You could come up with a knee and then you blast him. So lots of things. You play around with your katas. I'm sure you do that with your whatever systems you do already. And as long as you're not really changing the movement, that's what it can be for. And even if you do change the movement, it can also be that. That's when you get into the realm of henka, right? The variations, and there's no limit on that. Let's see. So we've done basically these sequences, right? And as it's my understanding, Shimabuku had this piece in here to help the student look around more easily to see what's happening over here, as opposed to just turning fully around. And whether you want to keep it or lose it, whatever you do. Okay, now this piece here. Okay, so I'll use you if you don't mind. Thank you. All right, if the person grabs with this arm here, let's turn this way. Thank you. So he's grabbed here. I'm going to sink down. This is the reason why I turn my foot. All right, I'm going to pull him in. It's going to bar his arm. Now, if I have this low, like a normal side block would be, with my fist the same height as my shoulder, this could potentially slip off. But if I raise it up where my wrist is the same height as my shoulder, now I've got more stability on my arm to crank on his elbow when I do this, right? It's like you can almost trap it against your own chest here and punch, right? Good? Thank you. It also can be, come on out. And we know that we can punch anybody anywhere we want to, right? Now in the kata, we largely punch into the solar plexus on this, but what if I punched here low? What's going to happen? You get hit lower than your center of gravity. Come forward, right? If you get higher than your center of gravity, your head goes back and your groin comes forward. So if I hit him low and he brings his body forward, there's this, back fist to the temple. I'm not going to kill the guy or anything, but still, when you're smacked upside the head, that's not going to feel the greatest. Thank you. So, all right. Okay, we're evading this way. So if they're going to punch me from behind, I'm evading, right? Pretty simple. Or if he's punching here, left side, I'm catching on to it, pull into the hip, right? This was the stack position. Could be. A lot of people don't necessarily do anything with this, but it could be an arm bar of some sort, right? Or it could just be that you're chambering for the next technique, which that's okay too. All right, so here, I'll use you if you don't mind, thank you. So here we are. If the person is going to punch me in the head with this hand, I'm shuffling in, and this could be utilized as a block. And then here we come down right on this pathway to the nose, right? But if we arrest the movement to do a head block, which some groups in Isshinryu do, the problem, in my opinion, with that is you're not going to be able to re-accelerate the technique with enough force to really do too much damage. You can accomplish the exact same thing, a head block and a back fist with the same movement. So you don't have to separate it and do a head block and then a back fist. So you're just coming up and here it comes. Make sense? Now, if he blocks that technique, right? He blocks his head, and he's going to punch me in the ribs. There's what that's for, right? Make sense? Okay, now, well, what if he grabs a hold of my wrist here and he pulls me into him? There we go with the stomp, right? Or, if I really want to hurt him, I go to the knee. But again, he can do any number of things. These situations are fluid, right? Okay, so if he pulls and he steps back, now he can't really pull me any further. Pull. I'm not going anywhere, right? So I'm stepping in and I kick him, right? Okay. And then if he punches, kick, here's this, boom, and then we're back to square one, right? And we do the same sequence. 1, 2, here, here. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, now, you may have mentioned, or may remember that I said before that, oh, thank you, that we're going to ki before we kick him. Do you remember that piece? Okay. So, and this is interesting because my sensei seems to be the only one that actually hit upon this, said that he was taught this specifically. Some of the other teachers that were the first generation people, they did it, but they didn't necessarily bring it to the forefront. And people just said, oh, we ki here in the kata, and kind of left it at that. But it's a strategy, basically. So I'm going to ki before my intended technique because I want the guy to react to what he thinks is coming. So it's going to mess up his timing. And then when he's, already reacted to this kick that he thinks is coming when I step across, I'm maybe more likely to be able to actually kick him with the kick. So. Right. Yeah, it's like, oh, they move, yeah. Right. If you think, the common thing to think of is somebody's coming like this, okay, well, here comes a kick, right? But if I go here, and then I make the sound, oh, here it is. And they try to block it, but there's nothing there. And then just that split second may allow them to be kicked. So that's kind of an interesting thing, too. All right, what else? Since we repeat that, we won't need to do that too many more times. We do it on both sides of the body. The last bit, let's see. I guess I use you again. That's fine. Thank you. So that last one we're here. Again, if he blocks this back fist at the nose, he punches me in the body, I rob him of his reach, right? And obviously here he's not close enough for me to attack next, but there's the next part. And then he grabs the wrist. We have the arm bar, the old arm bar again. Then he punches here, lunge punch here. Okay. And this breaking of the balance that we're doing, see how it snatches him over? We kick, bloop. Free shot to the ribs there, basically, that kind of thing. Right? Okay. Thank you. So that's pretty simplistic, right? And then we catch the foot. But I'll show one more thing, too. So, who wants to be my partner? Okay. All right, so on this one, again, if we've punched, we got a hold of them here, right? And we kick them, and then they bend forward, okay? Maybe we've blasted them such, and we punched them with that, and they're just like, oh, they kind of stagger in, okay? If they're coming forward with the head down. It's a neck break, right? Obviously, I'm not going to really crank on your neck, but yes. So if you've hit them with the kick, and you punch them with the punch, and they're here, right? They fall forward. You catch hold of their head, and break their neck. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Now, I will show the last bit there. The one that everybody likes to talk about being an ankle break or a foot break or something like that. I'll use you, sir, I guess. And you can do any one of these 3 techniques to keep yourself from being kicked in the groin. First thing is, if he kicks me in the groin, I'm not just going to stand there. I'm going to evade. So the kick comes, I'm moving out of the way. Okay? But I can't do anything to him if I don't have my hands in play. So if he's going to do that kick to the groin, I'm going to sukuyuke, right? The scooping block here. All right? That will stop me from being kicked in the groin too. Or if he wants to kick me in the groin, you can just palm heel strike it, right? But if I want to do this ankle break that people are talking about, I got to catch hold of the foot. So now if he's kicking to the groin, putting them all together basically, and then there's the twist, right? And some, like Seibukan, they're more changed to a different stance to do this thing, but that's what they're doing. They catch the guy's foot and breaking his balance or breaking his foot or whatever. And then as I said, my sensei said that Shimabuku added the extra piece in there just for knowledge, but not part of the kata. Once you've twisted it, stomp to the knee. And it would depend on how tall the guy is. You might even be able to catch and stomp the knee you're holding. You know, so I've been able to do that, but because I'm tall. So, but yeah, largely you wouldn't probably do that because it'll throw you off balance trying to do it. But if you're just trying to kick their other leg, that works. Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions on Seisan kata? It's pretty straightforward.
Can we do it 20 more times?
No, because we don't have enough time. But we can do it once or twice. Okay, so y'all step up this way just a little bit. We have a little more room when we turn the other direction. No, come to like almost to the middle here. That way we don't have to always be constant. Hajime, we're going to left step. I'm still not going to run off and leave you. Step right. Step left. And shuffle and block. We're going to turn and chop. The left foot leads. Okay? We're here. We're going to step with the right. Parry. Step with the left. Parry. Step with the right. And pull. We're going to look and stack the hands. Shuffle and block. Boom, boom. Kick and punch. And then we're going to go to the opposite side. Block. Punch, punch. Kick and punch. Stack the hands on the right hip and look to the left. Shuffle out to the left. Punch, punch. Kick. Punch. Here's where we sink. We're going to turn around into the T stance. Left foot steps around. Okay. And we shuffle out. Back fist. Pull. Step down. Ki-ai. Side kick. Low block. Punch. Arm bar. Right foot steps over. T stance. Left side forward. Same thing here. We're shuffling out. Back fist. Pull back. Elbow. Down. Boom. 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 Looking. Left foot steps around. T stance one last time. Right foot only. Back fist. Right foot steps over. Low block punch. Arm bar. Open side block. Pull this down. Ki-ai. Kick. Punch. And then shuffle back once more and catch that foot. And then musubidachi, date. That's it. The approximate time frame was late 46 or maybe just the first few months of 1947. Miyagi was up in the Goju-ryu City area of the island. He would come over there and he would visit his daughter who had a house. And so anyway, he would teach various people. We don't know, or at least I don't know, the extent of who all he taught, but he taught at the Goju-ryu City police station and some other things. And the story is that he would come by Tatsuo's house and teach him privately there. But again, we don't know the frequency of that. Once a month, once a week, who knows, right? But Tatsuo's widow said that. Yeah, Bushi Miyagusku used to come by the house and teach Tatsuo privately. So anyway, Tatsuo's younger son said that his father learned Sanchin, Tensho, and Seiunchin from Miyagi, but he had decided in the system that he was formulating to not include Tensho because he had already decided to include Sanchin. And both Tensho and Sanchin are considered basic kata. So we have Naihanchi as the primary basic kata of Shorinryu, and Sanchin as the basic kata of Goju-ryu. So when you put them together, the imbusins are like this. So when he created his own personal kata that he named Sunsu, that's the imbusin of Sunsu, is this plus sign. So it's got elements of several of the kata, even Useishi and Pasai, kata that he didn't keep, that were Kyan's kata, but he liked some of the movements but didn't keep the overall kata for the system that he created. But anyway, so Here we are with Seiunchin kata. So he changed it a little bit, cut out some of the movements that I guess he felt were superfluous, didn't really need them, and here we are. Ay! Ay! Pretty simplistic still. Tatsuo liked to keep his stuff pretty simple. Okay, so questions before we start? Okay. All right, on this one then, about solar plexus or midline here. Your fingers can extend beyond the midline, that's okay. This other hand hooks up and over, grabs and pulls, just like we did in the previous kata, right? This motion here. So we're going 1, 2, and then we're going to spear hand and pull. We're going to pull behind us slightly, not straight in like Goju-ryu does. There's a reason for that. Then we're going to repeat that 2 more times. Right foot turns, come through. Left foot is coming around. We're going to come up and apart, rotate them down, up, over, and pull and spear. And then here comes a third time. And pull. Now we're ki before we back fist, but we back fist into the palm of the hand. That's what Tatsuo did up until about the late 60s. Then he changed the timing and the technique on that particular deal. But the early way was to back fist into the palm of the hand. So we're doing that. And it'll be forward here instead of out here when you do that back fist. Right? So it's right in the front. Right? So you're coming here this way instead of over here. Right? All right, and then you're going to pull back to your T stance. You're going to shuffle forward into that Seisan stance like we did in the previous kata. The hand rotates over. Some people do it with the wrist being grabbed essentially or pressed against with the other hand. There's a reason I don't do that, but I put it here where basically the edge of the hand is lining up with the edge of the knuckles. All right, so I'm enforcing that and I'm punching or pushing forward here. Solar plexus high or sternum even. We're going to shuffle forward. Some people do an elbow, but largely I just hit and then elbow and don't shuffle. But either is okay. I've seen it both ways. And as a matter of fact, when Shimabuku sensei was filmed on his second visit to the United States in 1966, one take of the kata that's like the main film that they put together of him, he forgets to do the elbow completely. He just goes boop and then right on into the next thing. But we have another take of it where he does it. And it's like, oh, yeah, he just forgot. He was a human being. He forgot things, right? So anyway, we're going to punch. We're going to elbow. Are we good so far? Or we want to repeat all that? Okay, let's repeat it all. And I'll turn sideways here too. So you guys will come forward and I'll go this way. Okay? Here. We're going to step around and turn. Boop. Boop. Up, over, and pull. We're going to step through, up and apart, down, up, over, and pull. A third time comes, up and over, and pull, and spear. Back fist, T stance, shuffle forward into a Seisan stance, punch, elbow. Yeah, that right foot stays forward. The Goju-ryu folks, they're like doing this where they step back and they do this, right? But Shimabuku modified that. So we're just going 1, bam, keeping our space, bam, okay? All right, so from there, we're going to shoot off on a 45-degree angle. Now, many people don't make a big full shuffle. They just kind of turn. I put a little bit more of a movement out in that way, which I'll explain why later. But either way is okay. It's like a reinforced side blocking technique, more or less. Okay, then from here, you're going to turn this foot and go in line with it on that angle, and we're going to block low, basically. From the hip here. And then we're going to go back on the same angle and block low. And then we're going to do the same techniques on this 45-degree angle with the left side leading. Shuffling out that way, still like a side block. This hand pushes against it. Okay, this one goes in, block low, and back, and block low. We good? Okay, now we're going to go straight to the rear. Left foot back. Okay, this right hand's going to come up and across to protect the face. This hand comes up outside of it, grabs and pulls, and you want to chop outwards. So this hand pulls back with the palm out that way. This one is with the palm down to the floor and the edge of the hand forward. Okay, then you're going to do the same thing one more time, going backwards with the right foot. Right foot comes through, left hand comes across to grab, pull, and chop. Easy? Okay. One more, and then we'll start it over. So you turn this left foot, step forward. Here's your inside block, right, with the forearm. Then we shuffle in and back fist. Okay? And we'll start it over. Questions so far? That's the thing, is we some of this, like in any style, really is guesswork, because it wasn't like written out. Well, the founder said, I do this because, if you were in his inner circle, he might tell those students, But like I said, we in our system especially, were dealing with short times on Okinawa, language barrier, right? And most of the Marines, to be honest, unfortunately, they just weren't interested in that kind of stuff. They just wanted to learn to fight better, which is, it's reality of it, but we know there's more to fighting or more to karate than just fighting, but that's what the Marines wanted a lot of times. That's one reason it was so popular, our system. And another reason was, too, that our founder was blessed to have a contract with the Marine Corps, 3rd Marine Division Special Services, and the Weichi Kanye also. So they had, the whole east side of the island and west side of the island covered, basically, in those days, in the late 50s, early 60s, mid 60s even. So anyhow, I'll face this way, and we'll go through it once more. Okay, pull in, punch, elbow. We're going to go on the 45, in on the same angle, block low, back on the same angle, block low, this way on the 45, go in, block low, and back and block low. Left foot goes to the rear, protect the face, catch their hand, pull and chop. Once more, right foot goes back through, protect the face, pull and chop. Step forward, inside block, there's your second ki right before we come in, here, and then back fist. Okay, this turn is like the one we did in Seisan, kata, except we turn a little bit further. In Seisan, we just went around the opposite direction. This one, we're going about 45 degrees past it. So once we've shuffled here, we're going to go around further. Okay? Many Isshinryu folks, I'll come over here so you can see. Many people are doing this low block and a side block. My sensei said what he was taught was, and that's fine if you want to do it that way, totally fine. That's the prevalent way. He said he was taught a punch block here. So there's different pros and cons to all this stuff, right? But anyway, so that's what I'm doing, is I'm punching down on that. So here, and then the left side is going to come in. So you turn that right foot, we're going to drop into shikodachi. We're going to uppercut with the left. Meantime, this right hand is here at the solar plexus. 1, pull back, back fist strike, pull back to the hip, block low, pull back through and block low. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other angle. Sorry. Okay, so we were here, we're turning this way now. And then the right side's going to come in. 1 with the uppercut, 2 with the back fist, 3 to the low block, and 4 with another low block. Okay? And then we're going to go left foot back, T-stance, hip thrust, and elbow. And we're going to go right foot back and do the same move. Right foot back, T-stance, hip thrust, and elbow. You're going to punch down in front of you, so much kicking here. Then you're going to step forward, parry, and back fist. Last technique, you're going to pull back, arm comes up. Many people learn this different ways, and we'll go over some of these in a minute. But we're doing a trapping technique here, and we plant that foot, so we're more solid in our weight, and it comes down. So the hands are pulled back here, with like a palm heel exposed, and you drop that weight. And then you would step up with the left foot, and then you bow out of the kata. Facing this way, sorry. I turned to the side so you can see. Okay. Questions so far? Yes. please.
I saw you lifting the foot.
Yes. We'll get to that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. But anything else about the overall performance? Yes, sir. Story. But he's the one that showed me this application I'm getting ready to show you. So if I could use you, ma'am, if you don't mind. All right. Thank you. So if the person is going to reach towards you to grab you with both hands, I'm changing the angle of attack here, which is going to make it more difficult for her to grab a hold of me, right? Now, the person says to themselves, well, that didn't work. So now they're going to try to grab you around the waist. Waist down low, 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 low. There you go. So the hands come here to let that loose. Obviously, you don't want to let them sink the hold in. But I'm doing the technique. So you're just going to be like in a shikodachi kind of, if you want, that's fine. So the hands come up to grab, one, and then you're going to grab me around the waist. Grab around the waist, two. This is what this is for. There you go. She's strong. Look at this. In the next technique, you could do this since her head is there. What I was going for is, if the hands are here and you've got a little bit of distance between you, that's okay. Now stay where you are. You're good. Either way is fine. But that hand, remember I said comes across? So this, you guys can see this? Can you come here? I can do it with this hand too, but I'm better on this side. So this hand is going to come over and push. This is going to come over and collapse this. And we're back to that other technique I just showed you, but with the added spear hand in here, or to the neck, or however you want. So since she was here, she had it down lower, where her head is here, that's okay too. I got the head, boop, and there's a spear hand to the throat with that. Here's another one. If she punches with the left, I'm evading. Here's this, ridge hand to the face. The hands that come down this direction, here's this. And then we're back to this again. One opens that right up for the spear hand. Two. So, thank you. Now, if you wanted to separate it out and have three individual things, you most certainly could. All right, I'll use you, sir, since you're a big, strong guy. Okay, thank you. Now, if the person gets you here around the backside, hold on to me. There you go. If I stay like this, he's going to be able to manipulate me all day. But if I try to sink down, he's going to have a harder time with that, right? We're probably going to topple over backwards here. So just for the sake of this, just relax just a little bit, right? Now, if I keep my back flat against his chest, I'm not really going to be able to do this. Hold on tight. Grab your arms, or there we go. See, I can't get this in here. But if I bow my shoulders, I can get in here and pull this apart. So that's what this initial movement could be. Also, if he grabs from the front, about a two-hand grab straight around, right? Same concept, right? All right, now, so we did the one, we did the two. If the person is over here, if the person is over here, it doesn't matter. Two people, whatever. He kicks at me, right? That's pretty common, and it's not necessarily very realistic. However, as I said, just like in the Seisan application where we do both arms, it gets a stronger movement when you use both arms simultaneously. So even though I may actively only be defending against an attack from here or from here, both arms together makes it a more powerful movement, right? So, all right. And then the next one, almost done. And if he punches to the body, right, this is why we're doing this shoulder high. Because now I've evaded and dropped down here, and his punch is at my shoulder. So this is here, and here's this, right? Now, the reason why we pull behind instead of pull straight in, he's got long arms, he's tall. I got long arms, I'm tall. But yet, I still can't get him if I pull in straight. If I pull behind me, now I can get him. Now, obviously, he went a little bit further than I had intended, but you get the idea. So I'm pulling back here a little bit where I can reach him with this spear. Make sense? Now, Goju-ryu, they can do this and pull straight in because they're 45 degrees closer to the person. We're 45 degrees further away. Right? Does that make sense now? Okay, thank you. Shimabuku did it earlier on, if I could use you, please. So, well, if he punches with this hand, okay, and I'm here, now he sees this coming, so he grabs my hand, so I can't spear hand him, okay, and I smash him in the hand. That's pretty simple, right? All right, there we go. Nothing really crazy. Okay, now, but if the person kicks at you, later Tatsuo would do this number. He would change the timing and catch the foot and strike down on it. That's okay too. To me, I think it's both a blessing and a curse that we didn't have one set standardized way. Because now you got all these other extra things that you can play with, right? It's like, why wouldn't you want to know, kind of have an insight into Shimabuku sensei's mind or any of the other Okinawan senseis to, oh, this technique is good, that technique's good. So we're doing it this way because that's the older way, but certainly the timing where you change it and shift back and hammer fist instead of back fist, that's okay too.
Hi.
Okay? Thank you, sir. Okay. Now, yes, ma'am.
Just with that, since you did the hammer fist and you went back,
Okay.
you were like,
T-stance here. Okay, they're going to get me in a bear hug. No, that's at the end where we hip thrust. Yeah. Yeah, the actual active hip thrusts are at the end. But this one is, I guess I can use you if you don't mind. So, all right, so if he gets me in a front bear hug, here we go. So I'm going to pull him inwards while I try to slide this up in here. All right, this is going to go in his sternum, hopefully, and we're going to push him away. And before he goes too far, here comes his elbow, right? And that's why it's okay if you push him back and he goes, we may have to chase after him to do that. That's fine too. Yes, sir.
You give an answer. The question I asked before, you said, I don't know, but now I see it. It makes no sense if you do that application to step back.
Well, okay, yeah, you're right, I guess so. But that's what I saw, and that's what my sensei showed me. But that
showing now, that makes sense.
Okay.
Because you stay at a close distance, and he has no time to defend or react.
Okay.
Yeah.
But why he chose to change it to that as opposed to leaving it, that part I don't know about. But yes, I can say that here's an application for that, yeah, and this is what we're doing, and that's why, But yeah, why he changed that to make it what it is, that part I don't know. Okay, so we have this and we have this. Okay, we good? All right, next one is, oh, thank you, sir. Grab and stuff, right? Okay, well, if he grabs a hold here, the part was we'd come off on the 45-degree angle and we reinforce side block, right? And the next part, here's your low block, right? Bam, and then we got this next one where I come and bring him back. Oop, he's flying around, but that's okay. Here's the next part, that low block there too. Ideally, they stay right there for the demonstration, but that happens sometimes. You're coming in and we're coming back, right? It's the same kind of deal there. Now, one more thing actually. So you can do this in a couple of ways. You can go fully underneath and crank on that elbow, or you can come through, bend this down, crank on the elbow, wherever you like. And that's why you would need to reinforce it, because it's a more substantial joint. However, it works if it's just here at the wrist. Right? Hopefully I don't make that fly away. I did actually, sorry. We want to put this back on. No, it's okay. This good right here? Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to not break your equipment. Also, the same gentleman I mentioned before, Walter Van Gilson, said this was a defense against somebody grabbing the shoulder. You're walking along and they grab the shoulder, right? And then you're in to do whatever you want. Take him down, or if it was the other side forward, he grabbed with this side and he had the other foot forward. And then you're back to the same situation, right? Thank you. Okay. I'll use you this time if you don't mind. So if the guys, it doesn't matter what hand they punch with. If you're punching to the face, you're going to have to come on through, really like you're going to hit me in the face, right? So this is deflecting this, and this is catching on and pulling and hitting low, right? If you watch the films of Shimabuku Tatsuo, he's just doing this number. That's not really protective of your face, So maybe there was something else going on there than we knew about, but the way my sensei was doing it was protecting the face as he evaded and grab and pull and chop, which makes a lot of sense. We do this in Seisan kata. We do it in a number of kata. So anyway, there's that. Okay, so since you're already here, I'll go ahead and use you for the next one. It doesn't matter what hand they punch with. If they punch with the right, you're coming towards me, you're going to punch with your right hand, and then we're shuffling in, we're going to back fist him in the nose. If he punches with the left, this is going to be, a little higher up. You're not going to sink down probably. Because remember, this is against untrained people typically, right? You come in and try to blast me in the body. So I'm coming in, I'm going to break his arm here, and then push it away and hit him in the nose. Either is okay. I don't even have to break it. I can just, we do this as simulation of like a smash of some sort usually. But if he punched, I just use it and come over the top. Or the same thing with the other arm. Just clear it out of the way and then smash him in the face. Okay? All right. Questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see where we are. I guess I can use you again. Thank you. So, if the person is far enough away, this hand that's low does not, this hand that's high, does not necessarily actively have to be doing anything. If it could be just the proverbial guard, so to speak. If she's kicking at me from a distance there, the backhand is what's doing the active technique, right? If we're closer, now this hand is going to be doing the active one. If she wants to grab or punch or whatever, this hand's here. This one low is the guard. Make sense? So it all depends on the timing and stuff. Okay, now, like I say, most people in Isshinryu are doing this sweeping block low, and that's fine. But my sensei said he was taught to do the punch block here. And I got to thinking, well, and watching the video again of the founder, and in this one particular spot, his hand is already high. So if he's turning around, it makes sense to come and sweep low. But then when he goes to the opposite side, his hand is already low. So he's coming up and over potentially. So what if it's just one of these deals because of the language barrier that Tatsuo intended it to be one thing in one direction and another thing in another direction, and we Americans just thought, oh, well, it's got to be the same thing on both sides. Who knows? Unfortunately, we can't ask him anymore, so. But like I said, my sensei was kind of the odd man out on that. He was the only one doing this punch block like that. And I was like, oh, well, I like that technique. I think it works great. But anyway, so you could do it either way. All right, now, if you're facing the person like so, and say they attack with that left hand, 1, and it brings their head back, 2 in here, and this way 3, right? And then, of course, we have this one here, and you're bringing them in, and then 4, hammer fist or back fist, whatever you need to do kind of thing. Okay, well, same thing, punch the other hand, right? I'm going on the outside of it. 1 to the muscle in the back here, or even the joint itself if you wanted to, or even into the ribs. You got all kinds of options in here. So there's the 1, 2, 3, right. So if I got in here, 1, that works too, right? And then you bring this in 3, and then there's that low block. You can play around with it. There's all kinds of things that you can do. Okay, thank you. And then, like I said, it depends on the distance, perhaps, as to which hand is actually doing something. One is a guard, one is not a guard. And then you change the timing or change the distance, and one is the guard and one is not the guard. You got anything to add, sir? You were asking about why I picked the knee up here. Okay, so I'll use you since you asked. Okay, if he wants to kick me, he's fine. Here's this. It's a leg check, right? You're just picking the knee up, right? Or I could use it as a stomp. If he's got the foot forward, put this foot forward, I can come in here and I stomp on your foot even. And then we get into the same concept that we were talking about before. Yeah, nothing ridiculous. Protecting your groin and stepping down so you can make it anything you like, really. Okay, and then to answer your question, this is a defense against a rear bear hug. This is actually in our upper body basics. This is our 15th basic exercise. Most Isshinryu people I see, unfortunately, seem to have forgotten there's supposed to be a hip thrust in there. So they're just doing this with the arms kind of thing. And it's like, well, you're missing out. So I guess I'll use you if you don't mind, thank you. If he gets me in a rear, I'll turn this way. Whichever way you like, you stay where you are. Rear bear hug. This is actually probably better. So now, if I'm trying to step behind truly like in the kata, you're going to run into their feet and probably knock yourself over. So in actual usage, it's probably better to not go backwards. I'm not saying you couldn't, but you run the risk of losing your balance. So really, it's probably better if you go forward on this. So when you step forward, see what it does to his balance? And I hadn't even really set my stance truly yet. But now I'm going to turn my hip. This is going to come up like a hinge, and I'm going to hit him in the groin with my hip. Now, obviously, I'm going to be careful here and not really blast you, but that's what that hip is for, coming back. This is hip thrust to the groin, and this breaks that hold, see? And then here comes his elbow back this way. Make sense? Yeah. So we're going actually left side first, and then the right side comes, okay? And then I'll use you, please. No, stay there. You're fine. Okay. You're fine. So we'll get in the camera here. Okay. So this can be a guard or whatever we want to call it, but it's really just left over from that technique previous. Okay. So if he kicks with either foot, doesn't matter. Here comes this kick. We're going to blast him in the shin if he's closer, in the ball of the foot, something like that. If he's a little further away, okay. And he's going to set that foot down. He's going to punch me. It doesn't matter what hand it is. Here, higher. I'm taller, so. right? So we're sweeping that out of the way, we're going to hit him. Same thing, punch the other side. It works either hand, right? So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Now, the last bit of the kata, again, if he grabs on, careful, watch the mechanism here. If I pull back, see what it does to his balance? We all know that. Okay, now here's this trap I was talking about. This is coming in here like that. It's not really going to hurt him, but it pulls him and puts him in a weird position here. Okay, and I want to be forceful with it, and I'll drop my weight so it's even more likely to work. Okay, and then typically what happens, especially if you have a taller person, is that your hands will be around his jaws. So this part will be the setup for the palm heel strike on the sides of the jaws here. But Tatsuo didn't do that in the film and didn't largely teach that seemingly to others, but there are people like Tom Lewis and John Bartoshevitz and stuff, and they do this too, where they drop the weight down and they have the hands in this position. So if you do it like the Goju-ryu people and also the way Tatsuo does it on the film, it's a different application. Here he keeps the heel raised, and also he keeps the hands open. That's okay too. So if he again tries to grab, the hands can be just warding him off, not that you're really doing anything fancy there. And then these are set up to be able to spear hand if you want to, right? That kind of thing. And if he grabbed with the one hand, doesn't matter which hand, and then he grabs with the other, right? And obviously he'd be advancing as I'm retreating. He's not going to be able to grab me from way out here, right? So it's like, oh, and then I get loose from the one. He's like, oh, really? And then he tries to grab with the other. We do the same thing. It's just one hand and then the other. And that's when we vary how it appears in the kata, but it's largely the same kind of thing. The foot could be raised to simulate being able to kick, right? Right? But in the way Tatsuo seems to have taught it to some was to plant the foot. We actually have him doing that on film with Steve Armstrong, who was at least a foot taller than him, and whose dojo they shot that video at. He's like my height, and he took Armstrong down. His butt's all pooched out, you know, just like, dropped him down. And then he went, boop. I was like, oh, there you go. Anyway, so that is Seiunchin kata. We're going to go left. All right. This part here too, some Isshinryu groups, and that's fine. They breathe. My sensei included does that too. Right? And then you smash here. Punch. Boom. And you're going on the 45. Block low. Back and block low. Same thing to the left, 45. 1, 2. Straight to the rear. Again, some people are breathing here. That's okay. Coming forward. Okay, back fist. You're going to turn around to that angle. Left foot should be forward here. Your left foot should be forward, sir. Left side comes in. 1 with an uppercut, 2 with a back fist, 3 with a low block, 4 with a low block. And you're going to turn to the other angle on the corner here. Seisan stance and low block and punch block, or low block and side block, whatever. Right side goes in. 1, 2, 3, back through, 4. Left foot back, T-stance, hip thrust, elbow. Right foot back, T-stance, hip thrust, elbow. Punch, step, parry and back fist. And we pull back and trap, or whatever you like to do here. Okay, then step up with that left foot, and you bow out of the kata.